What's up, guys? Welcome back to Aushoopers TV. Me and Hesh forgot to record an intro, so I'm recording one right now. Currently in Vegas for the NRL preseason. We are back with guests on Aushoopers TV. Super excited to get this back up and running. Let us know who we should have on. We're trying to get coaches, players, everyone involved in the Australian basketball community, influencers, whoever it may be. Send us a DM and let us know who else we should have on. Before we start, I just want to make sure you guys are following us on our socials at Aushoopers TV and our podcast streaming platforms, whether that you're listening on Spotify, Google Podcasts, or whatever it may be. This episode is featuring Will Johnston, point guard for LMU, Loyola Marymount University, one of the most underrated guards coming out of Australia currently. Super good player. If you have the chance, after this episode, go check out his highlight reel. He just recently had a good game after we filmed this potty, and he's had a few 20 bombs this season. Really good player, super nice guy, and we hope you enjoy the episode of us picking his brains about his basketball career so far and his college season. We appreciate you guys listening. Let's get to the episode. What's up, Will? How you doing?
Yeah, good. Thanks for having me on the show.
All good, all good. Last time me and Hesh visited, obviously we were out in LA. We came to visit, and for those who don't know, you're with LMU college. We came down and visited. You took us around a tour. Pretty dope stuff. We got to check out the locker room and stuff like that. We're going to start off with LMU, obviously. How are things going? How's the whole college scene, and how's this year treating you?
Yeah, no, it's been a bit different year, first year here, so just getting used to the feel of things. But we definitely haven't performed up to the expectations so far. I thought we were gonna have a lot more winning season, and our record doesn't really show how good our team really is. But we've had major growth throughout the year, and I think we're definitely a team that people don't want to see when it comes tournament time, because when we're at our best, we can beat anybody, but we just haven't been at our best, consistently enough to have that on our record. But I think I'm
100%.
definitely enjoying it, coaching staff, players, teammates, I'm loving all that. So
I think Hesh told me a story. I don't know if he wants to share it about the culture. He had a kind of culture shock when he came down to one of the training sessions.
Yeah, man. Will, do you remember? I think it was the first time I came there. Yeah, when Reese was there as well. I think Reese, you pulled up for that trip.
Yeah. You
Um,
went to the training session a little bit earlier than me though, for the
yeah,
morning
I went to
sessions.
the early morning training sessions. So firstly, I'll let you talk about it in more detail. But obviously, you guys had like early morning sessions during your preseason, like I think off season even, not even official preseason. Like this is
yeah,
like
yeah, this is the summer workouts.
yeah, summer workouts. You guys starting 6 a.m. type stuff. And one of the things that stood out to me was like and you guys still do it at practice. When I was around in December this time, it was the same where like shoot around, whatever, get warm, and then everyone runs out the gym. All the players run out the gym, coaching staff make like a tunnel out of the door, and everyone's like clapping, like, yeah, 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 yeah. It's like 5:45 a.m. man. Like I'm barely awake in LA. These coaches are
Yeah,
just up, man, like getting rowdy, like getting hyped, and then I think Kelly normally knocks on the door, right? Like someone knocks on the door.
yeah. He's banging on the door outside.
And then we let him in, and then they kind of run through this tunnel and get amped. And that's like every practice, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
no,
So
it's
me, I was crazy, man. Just culturally, like we don't have stuff like that in Australia. Like you know what it's like, the hoop scene here. That was one of the craziest things I've seen in an environment like that. And to me, it was like a sign that these guys are very serious about culture and they do all the little things. Like they very much committed to like getting guys to buy into those things. How have you found that adjustment? I know you've been in the States for a while, but how does LMU kind of compare to some of the other schools you've been at with like the culture side of things and with that?
yeah. I mean, the culture is like it's a whole different level. Even just stuff in the US and the schools that I've been to, and it's one of the like main reasons why like I chose LMU in the recruiting process. And I think like I'll tell you a story. Like when I was being recruited, they told me that after every game, like we lift, yeah. And so like the team bus for the opposing team is outside our weight room. And like they told me that after games, they would just go into the weight room and like be lifting heavy weights, like blasting music after they just beat a team. And then the other teams get on the bus, like, traveling home. And these guys are out here pushing weights after just played 40-minute game.
Yeah,
And
it's
it's like
crazy.
stuff like that. It's just like just wired differently, you know? And then obviously like when I got here, it was almost like a military type environment. You know, we were waking up at like me and Kelly were waking up at like 4:30 to like get ready for practice. We'd be in the gym at 5. We'd have individuals and then we go outside and then it's, you know, we're having our team huddle and it brings like a game like environment. You know, you're having your huddle outside and then you come onto the court like a tunnel and it's kind of making practice seem like a game, you know? So when you get in the game and you're so used to being hype, you know, it's not that much of a transition if you feel me, you know? So
100%.
For
the
sure.
culture, yeah.
You mentioned Kelly a couple of times, and I did too. Talk a little bit about what it's like, and for the listeners that are listening, Kelly LePepe is the person we're talking about, and he's obviously a fifth year senior. Did I get his name right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's
He's
yeah, that's my little bro. But you know, he's
bro, it's crazy. Kelly,
Craziest
like
mullet
that.
I've ever seen.
Yeah,
Hell yeah.
yeah.
fact. But like, talk a little bit about what it's like to have someone like obviously from Australia and someone that's kind of been in the program for a couple of years, and he's your roommate as well.
Yeah.
How's it been for you with some familiarity with another Aussie in the team and someone that you get along with so well?
Yeah. I mean, first of all, just as like, you know, like he's like my brother, you know, for real. Like so having him like rooming with him, it makes me feel like I'm at home, you know, just two Aussies, you know, even though we're in America, it's really not even like that, you know. We're just kicking it in the apartment, you know. We chill, like we like playing FIFA, like all that kind of stuff, chess, like just random stuff, you know. And then on the court, you know, he's our leader. You know, I'm sure if you see Kelly play, like, you know, he plays with a lot of emotion, you know, and you know, he wears heart on his sleeve, and he's our leader, you know. So I definitely look up to him as a leader, and just the way he plays, he gives me confidence on the court, you know. And I feel like I do the same thing, and we try to make each other better. Got really good chemistry.
That's tough. I know Kelly's going crazy in the post-game weight room when the team's walking past.
Oh, bro, I never had a teammate as strong as him in the weight room.
Yeah, I
Bro,
can
I've seen him
imagine.
do coin flips with 20-kilogram plates, man.
Yeah, no, he's crazy in the weight room. I think, especially in this, I mean, when season starts, it's a lot more like, you know, speed kind of workout. Like you're lighter, and then you're like, but lighter for him, still like double everyone else's
Yeah,
weight.
that's
But
crazy.
you know, like but in the summer, I seen some weights that I was like, damn, I ain't seen Arnold lift that much. You know, like it's
Yeah.
crazy. Yeah.
Is he someone that reached out to you, obviously, when you were in the process of in the transfer portal and stuff like that? Did he reach out to you or did you reach out to him, and kind of get his advice on how LMU was, or did he reach out, or what was the go with that?
Yeah, so like we didn't know each other personally when I was in the portal, but when I came on my visit was the first time I met him. But like we did know each other of each other, you know,
Yeah.
and you know, he just showed me around campus. Like I hung out with him quite a bit on the visit, and like you know, I could tell like that's my boy, you know. So
Yeah.
it was good chemistry from the start, and you know, he was a big part of the decision why I wanted to come here. You know, it made me feel comfortable.
Is he Vic or New South Wales, Kelly?
Vic, you know, so
Vic,
we got
Vic. Yeah, yeah.
that little rivalry, you know.
Yeah, facts, facts.
It's actually a good point that you raise. Reese talking about Vic in New South Wales. Obviously you're at LMU now, and we'll talk a little bit more about your college career in a bit. But let's take it back to where you started, man. Sydney, Australia, obviously where you're from. Talk a little bit about your junior basketball in New South Wales. When did you get into it?
Yeah, I mean, there's not much junior basketball in New South Wales that I played, but you know, I was a rugby player to start with, you know, and I wanted to play rugby professionally. You know, I didn't really get picked for much teams in rugby, and then you know, I had my coaching staff at my high school. You know, John Hennessy, Terrence Roan. You know, I'm not sure if those names ring a bell for anyone, but those my guys. You know, and I kind of just worked out with them. You know, and like, and they kind of built me up to be the player I am just individually, and I never made any rep teams or state teams, club teams. So I never really did any of that stuff, and I was just working out with them, just trying to become the best player I could be, you know?
Yeah, I know the Michael Jordan story's kind of blown out of proportion, but you not
Yeah.
making rep teams and stuff like that. There's kids out there that don't make rep teams. And obviously those kids that made the rep teams over you now, aren't probably playing Div 1 college basketball. So what does that kind of mean? And what would you say to people that aren't making teams?
Yeah, I mean, I used to really get caught up in like, oh, I'm better than that guy. You know, I average this many points. I'm doing this, and he can't do what I can do. And I used to get caught up in that. And you know, I would say to kids that aren't making the rep team and stuff, really just focus on yourself, you know. Something that I had is I've always had like unwavering like confidence in myself that I know and I know my abilities and that. And I feel like that really carried me to like go places where you know, let's be honest, like reps is great and all, but that's not the end goal, you know.
Mhm.
I don't want to be known as a good reps basketball player, you know. I have a lot bigger and better things I want to go on to, and I feel like it's just not that important, to be honest with you. Like you come over to America and it's like, bro, they don't care if you made state, they don't even care if you made your national team, you know what I mean? And which is
Exactly.
a good achievement, you know, like so I would say just stay in your lane and just focus on becoming the best basketball player you can be. And eventually talent's gonna find a way, you know? Like they're gonna find you eventually.
Yeah,
Exactly.
I agree. Obviously, I've known Will for a number of years. I got introduced to Will through his high school basketball scene. I coached on that scene and coached against him, and there was just this kid that was destroying the GPS competition. And obviously he led the league in scoring, I think his senior year, like by heaps as well. Like it wasn't even close. And even with that, he wasn't picked in like the all conference team that they pick. Like he was in the second team. Like just constantly slept on. And I built a relationship with Will kind of off that. I think we bonded over the fact that he was like a junkie to work out, and that unwavering confidence was definitely evident from the start. And no matter what teams you got picked in or wherever you were playing, whether it was pickup or for Kings or for Comets or whatever, you just kept kind of hammering away and knowing that you were on to achieve better things. How much, and honestly speaking, how much do you think? Would you change it? Do you think that like it's made you who you are? The fact like do you go look back on it and go, damn, I wish I kind of like Kelly's a good example. Like he got picked for every state team, played for the national team, and now you guys are in your senior years or you're 1 year younger than him. You're in the same position basically, and you've had such different routes to get there. Would you change it looking back, or you think like it's made you who you are and you're kind of proud of the fact that you kind of play with that chip on your shoulder and didn't get picked for any of that?
Yeah, I mean, obviously it like it sounds cliche if I'd be like, nah, man, like I love the route I took, you know, like, but obviously it was a lot harder. But you know, I feel like I've grown a lot more than other players who are just give like, well, not handouts, but you know, they've kind of been had a lot easier path than I would say that I had to take. But no, I definitely wouldn't change it because even I'm sure you're gonna ask about junior college eventually, but going there and having to go that route, it's like you see some stuff where you just like other guys are never gonna have to do stuff like this, you know?
Yeah.
And like and it just like it puts it into perspective like you're playing basketball and there's guys that like this is I'm sure you've seen Last Chance U. Like it's literally some guy's last chance at like life, you know what I mean? And I'm out here like just trying to go D1, you know? And I'm competing with these guys on the court. So it's just a different mentality, you know, that I feel like I gained from those experiences. And, you know, I definitely wouldn't change it because if I had made all those teams coming up, I feel like I'd be just like everyone else, you know? And
Exactly.
I don't want to be that, you know?
There's
Exactly.
actually a funny story about that. With I remember Will during their summer runs back at LMU. Remember when NBA off season and Peyton Pritchard's in the gym. So obviously Will got to work out with some NBA guys in LMU since they're in LA and they're close to the airport. A lot of NBA guys are through, NBA trainers come through. So Will just, after 2-a-day practices with the team, his body's sore. Trainers like, yo, we need numbers for a run. And Will's like first guy in the gym, he's running. Remember that time you were running? I think it was Peyton Pritchard, Stanley Johnson, a couple of guys from the Warriors. Dante Exum was in town, you said?
Yeah.
And then Will was like, you said you weren't cooking, but you made a few shots and you were hanging, like keeping
Yeah.
like you were just hooping. And then Dante Exum's like, you're Australian, bro? Bro, where did you play? And you were like, nowhere. Like, I played nowhere and I'm just here. And like, it was like, kind of like you expect someone that in that environment to have a junior career or, Dante Exum similar, like played for Australia all through his juniors. They kind of might share some common ground. But it's pretty cool to know that you're in that position now and looking back 6, 7 years ago, like no one would have picked it.
Yeah, nah, facts. Like, and trust me, that day was one of my better days. There was a couple other days where I played like guys like Peyton, and it was like I've never felt like it was crazy. It was hitting everything.
Still got that unwavering confidence when you lose 21-0
Oh,
in the
bro,
ones.
I think I got like two. It was like 15-2 or something like that. I was getting cooked that day, but But
We gotta get the footage.
oh no, no footage for that. But yeah, no, it's kind of crazy to see
Bro,
like
LeBron
like
mode, bro. Delete that footage immediately, bro.
oh,
Security cams were
oh
off.
Yes, bro.
no, for sure. But that about Dante Exum, it's crazy. Like when I was younger, like seeing him in the newspaper, like when he got drafted and stuff. I didn't even play basketball at the time. Like, you know what I mean? And I was just
Just
like, and then
recognized.
now it's like, damn, like this dude's like, I'm on the same court, like competing and that. It's kind of cool to see, you know?
Yeah. One thing we wanted to ask before we move on from basketball New South Wales is that me and Hesh have spoken about the New South Wales system quite a bit. There's obviously uh, speculation going around that it's, not many people are a fan of it, right? I want to kind of
Mm.
get your take and your thoughts on it, compared to other states and compared to even the US kind of system. What are your thoughts on the basketball New South Wales junior system?
I don't know enough about Victoria and like the other states to have like I feel like a good opinion comparing it to them because if I'm being honest, I'm really American as it I went to prep school, so I did high school there, and then I did all my development except for my coaches at my high school basically, and maybe a couple other coaches here and there. But I would say it's sometimes a little bit as anywhere, it's a little bit political, but
Yeah.
I think they just
I feel like New South Wales have talent, like talent.
Oh,
Like
what talent?
every time you go to like an event, like even like Brefo's events, and like even like your local runs, like
yeah.
there's kids that could play
Yeah.
state everywhere. But then you look at the state team, they just lost to SA in the quarters. Like, you know what I mean?
Oh yeah. I felt like, especially when I was in under 20s, like we sending our third team, you know?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's like,
something like that.
That's what Wally said.
yeah,
Wally said, bro, you could have put me on a court with all the guys from Blacktown, PCYC, and we would have won nationals. Wally said that on
yeah,
the like
You got
he's
like
yeah,
200, you got like 200 comments. People saying what?
yeah, no, facts.
obviously he grew up in New South Wales. And BNSW is always up for contention in terms of debates and stuff like that. Everyone has an opinion on it here and there. Some people love it, some people hate it. I think it's just that's the nature of anything. When you put a product out there. What's your experience been with BNSW growing up, basketball New South Wales, and what are your thoughts on kind of their systems and their processes and the way they do things with regards to state teams and selections and stuff like that?
Yeah. Well, like, first of all, I can speak from my experience. I was never really picked for anything. So, like, my experience it wasn't too great. But for a select few guys, it seems like that it's a pathway for guys to get where they want to go. There's been some talent coming through, but I do feel like the scouting process is a little bit flawed, as in like you shouldn't let a guy like me slip through the cracks. You know what I mean? It shouldn't be that way. And I could name numerous friends from New South Wales who like are now at D1 colleges. Like you look at a guy like Louis Bleachmore, he had to do a similar thing to me. You look at a couple of these other guys, and it's like where it's not even sometimes like you're doing yourself a disjustice when you're not sending your best team. Like, why would you not want the best players to go represent your state and try to win, medals? I don't even know what like they play for nationals and stuff, but I wouldn't know because I was never there. But um, but I think I think it's definitely like it has so much potential. Like they've it seems like they've got good coaches. They do good stuff, but they shouldn't let guys like me slip through the cracks and other guys in the system. I feel like.
We're gonna move on to JUCO. Now, you told me a story about JUCO, and I've heard only good things, honestly, from JUCO. But some people are a little bit skeptical on the route. But you said that you started up a Twitter account, you posted your highlights, hashtag JUCO, and you pretty much got a few offers off the one clip. Talk to
Yeah,
us about the whole JUCO experience, and would you recommend it to someone thinking about it?
yeah. I mean, I honestly don't even know where to start with JUCO. Like, it's something, especially I can only speak from the junior college I went to, South Georgia Tech.
Yep.
That's literally like family to me. Like there's a few teams you play with in your career. Like for me so far, I feel like I've only played for like one, maybe two, where it's like those are like my brothers. That's like family, and it's like I'm gonna talk to those guys for the rest of my life. And that was when I was at junior college. So like I think a lot of it is due to like it being so difficult. Like living situation isn't great, the food isn't great, the there's a lot of stuff that isn't great about it, but especially at South Georgia Tech, the community and the friends that I made was like priceless. You know, it sounds kind of corny, but like,
Yeah, no.
you know, and it's just it's a different feel when you've got guys that like, you know, some of my friends like don't play basketball anymore, and that went there, and it's like they're not really doing what they were doing with their life, you know, which is trying to play basketball, and it's like you're just battling out, like trying to earn a living, literally, like for some of these guys, you know, and no, it's just a really cool experience, and I'll definitely suggest it to guys, but you do have to be mentally ready. Like it's definitely a lot different. You know, you're gonna see some stuff that's a bit of a culture shock, but you know, I say it's a great experience, you know, and great exposure as well. I think that's an underrated part of junior college. Like tons of schools recruit out of it, you know. So like, why not, you know?
I was just gonna say that, like it's funny that you say that, like from your experience and your mentality, and that's one thing that stands out about you, I think, is which is your, I think your core identity is the fact that you spoke about it, your unwavering confidence, but you're mentally tough. Like you don't really care what's in front of you or what's around you. Like you love to hoop. Whether you have a ball and a rim, you don't care what country it's in, what weather it is. You're just gonna hoop and you're gonna get better and you're gonna take advantage of your opportunities. But I feel like there's a lot of kids that don't, especially out of Australia, where we are in basketball settings. And when you talk about kids that go to these private schools or have the opportunity to play multiple times a week, generally speaking, they're pretty privileged and they end up going to JUCO, and it's not as like it's not the same, man. It's not the same. You don't have friends. You can't just leave whenever you want. You can't go home to parents like cooking and complain to mom and dad about, oh, the coach treating you like this. Go back to a dorm room. You're probably sharing a room with someone that hates it just as much as you, probably hates you for taking their minutes and shots. Like it's like a dog eat dog kind of situation. And Will's one of the few people that can look back on it and say that he enjoyed it. That's because he's a bit unwell in the head when it comes to basketball. But you got to be ready, I feel like, and I think, correct me if I'm wrong, Will, but like it's almost like it's like a breeding ground for either you make it and you get onto the Division 1 level, or you end up realizing, oh, this college basketball thing isn't for me, and you got to find out something else to do.
Yeah, it definitely is, and don't get me wrong, like it's you're gonna find out eventually, you know, whether basketball is for you or not. I
Yeah.
think JUCO is just like an accelerated path to find that out. Because if you end up going to Division 1, like obviously it's a higher level than junior college, you're gonna get exposed eventually.
Yeah.
Like you're gonna go there and then you're gonna realize, oh, I'm not good enough. But there it's like you could be a good enough player, but it's like the mental side is a different level, you know?
Yeah.
So
You hear a lot of dudes that go over and come straight back after 1 year.
oh
1 year, bro, like 1 month, bro. People
yeah.
just on that return flight, man, like
Yeah.
straight away. Like, what? This isn't what I thought it would be.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I feel like it's a lot of it's situational. Like for when you first get there, bro, like they're my boys, but you know, coming in like as an Australian, they're like, who's this? You know, like guys are like fighting for minutes and whatnot. So it's almost like intimidation, you know what I mean? Like everyone's feeling each other out. So like guys will try to intimidate guys coming in, you know, to make him seem like it's a lot of the time it's a front, you know what I mean? But it's a like they don't want you to take their minutes. So a lot of guys back down to that, and you know you shouldn't. That's why it's a good opportunity, you know.
That's hard to teach though. Like hard to teach someone to like be uncomfortable and still work out every day and try and kill. Like it's that's hard mentality to kind of teach. Especially I find it's the biggest challenge I find as a skills trainer here. It's like
Yeah,
getting you that mentality, which you're just not blessed with, I guess. Or maybe you just learn to have it. But yeah, it's interesting for sure.
yeah,
You then got picked up by UTRGV, first year in Div 1 college basketball. Kind of run us through it. Obviously, it would have been a big step up from South Georgia. But yeah, run us through it. And how was that year? Obviously, you had a big year and then got picked up later on. But yeah, run us through the first year.
yeah. No, it was
First year or first 2 years?
it was my first. Well, so I did 2 years at
Two
JUCO, and then
years.
I did
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's right. That's
the
right.
next.
Yeah.
Yeah, so no, my first year at UTRGV, like it was that step up, and it was like you know I've always wanted to be D1, and then I finally got to that level, and it was you know, I think individually I had like a solid year. You know, I think I played well, but um, team wise we didn't win as much as I would have liked. you know, and we had some decent talent. You know, we had what like one of my teammates who actually went to South Georgia Tech before I got there. So like we had like a mutual connection, and he's a guy that's in the G League now. So I was like real tight with him. So it was, you know, it was a cool experience playing at like, you know, the higher level. But yeah, I mean, just wish we could have won a little bit more, you know?
Yeah, so after UTRGV, Will, obviously you had a very successful year. What's your average? Like 15-4, 15-5, something like that? 14.
Yeah,
What's your average?
15-4, I think. Like,
Yeah, 15-4-3, something like that. Like great numbers, fishing from the field. Obviously, yeah, you said you hopefully could have won some more. But you turned some heads, decided to opt out and roll the dice in the transfer portal. And I was obviously on that journey with you, and we used to talk a lot during that process. Remember the whiteboard sessions in the crib where we just write up all
yeah,
the little scoring system that we had for every school.
yeah.
How many offers did you have in the transfer portal?
Um, yeah, it would have been up around like the 70-80 mark, you know, something around there. It was hard to keep track. Like my phone was it's the first time I've really been recruited like that. So it was almost a little bit overwhelming, but it was definitely a cool experience, you know?
I just remember when you were in Sydney at the time, and like I think it started with like your name was in the transfer portal, and you were a bit nervous, like what the hell, like what's gonna
Yeah.
happen? Am I gonna get an offer, or am I just gonna be out of college basketball forever? Like what the hell? Like I can't go back to UTRGV. Once you choose to leave a school, it's like they're not gonna take you back. Your scholarship's gone, so you just
Yeah.
bank the fact you're gonna get recruited. And then I remember it was like one school, two schools, and then it just went from like 2 to 70 in a matter of a week. It was just like your phone blowing up, Twitter blowing up, WhatsApp blowing up, SMS is blowing up. You're trying to save coaches' phone numbers. You're trying to organize Zoom calls. Like I'm trying to get Zoom calls, phone calls. It was
Yeah.
crazy. Like I just
I
remember
think being in Sydney made it hard as well,
that
especially.
time zone, but it also made it easier. Had your family around, had your friends around. I think you were a
Yeah.
little comfortable. But definitely the time zones and all the clash made it difficult. How did that feel? And obviously you have bigger and better dreams with your basketball career, which we'll get to. But how did
Yeah.
that little snapshot feel of almost like, because I've been on your journey for a long time with you. For me, it almost felt like finally, this is how it feels. Like this is how it should have felt from when you were like 16 years old, like people wanting you on their teams and like recognizing the talent and kind of just giving you what's yours in terms of your abilities and what you can do. How was that process? I know it was overwhelming, you said, but like surely it must have felt nice and a bit of a change in the fabric of your career, you know?
Yeah. When I say overwhelming, it was more like a shock because I never really experienced it. But I did feel like, I mean, I prepared for it, you know? Like I've always internally seen myself as a guy that, you know, wanted that kind of opportunities. And when it came, I was definitely ready, but I was shocked at the same time, like when it happened, you know? But the feeling was kind of just like I was really thinking towards the future, like what's going to be the best opportunity for me to get where I want to go, you know, and I wanted to win, obviously, and you need to win to get where you want to go. And it was kind of just deciding between like, oh, should I go this level or should I go that level or what's the best like it should I be focusing on player development or should I be focusing on, you know, the head coach and my chemistry with him? Like there's so many variables that I had to like work through. And like obviously we talk about like the whiteboard session, like we just had a bunch of factors to go through.
Mm.
And it was you know, I was happy with like the top three that I went with and we just kept cutting down that list. And
What
then
were
we
those visits? Tell us what those visits were that you did go on and the schools that kind of came through that we put in that short list.
yeah, so the final three I went with was Temple, LMU, and then Oregon State. So it was three schools that I felt like I was like a higher level, a step up to from what I was where I was at. But also like I would have an opportunity to, you know, get better and to play and to contribute to winning, you know? And those were the main things.
For sure. And then obviously you chose LMU and now you're there right now. And I guess it's one of those things that you take as it comes. And you mentioned that you hope you'd have more of a winning season than you've had. Um, how's the overall process been for you managing some of the downs and the ups and everything that comes through this season?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, like we haven't had the best season so far. But you know, I love the decision that I made to come here, and like I just feel like it's never as bad as it seems, and it's it's never as good as it seems. So we try to just remain like level headed through it all, and there's definitely light at the end of the tunnel. I feel like.
We'll talk about the ups before. I kind of want to get to the downs. Uh, Obviously you said I think you guys played Gonzaga recently, just then.
Yeah, so we're in a down
Yeah,
right
yeah.
now, a very big down right now.
Yeah. Talk to us about games like that and how does the team kind of overcome it?
Yeah, I mean, there's only one way, and it's to look forward and like try and play better the next game. But I'm not gonna lie, it is frustrating when you don't perform to the ability that you know you can and that the team can. And yeah, it sometimes is frustrating when we go and play other teams like St. Mary's were right there both times,
Yep.
and we just let the game slip out of our hands, and they're a better team
Mhm.
than Gonzaga, like statistically, I think so. And it's just frustrating when you kind of go and then almost get embarrassed by a team like that.
Yeah.
So when you have those lows, I feel like it's just important to remember that like it's a really long season, and you just got to keep taking it one game at a time. And when it comes tournament time, you can make it like if you win in the tournament, no one's going to care about the game that you had
Yeah.
back in the middle of the season. So try to focus like that.
What's been your most memorable college game? You've had a few 20 bombs. I think you had 27 on Colorado State this year,
Yeah.
uh, with 8 threes, which is pretty insane. We'll talk about the shooting after this as well. But what's been your most memorable college game so far?
UTRGV as well, or
Yep, both seasons. I think you had like what'd you have last year? 30, 36 in one game? Yeah,
yeah,
36.
yeah. So it's actually funny. Like the most memorable games that I probably had. I'll start with UTRGV. That would have been Grand Canyon,
Yep.
and so like it was just a big time win for us at the time, and they ended up winning our conference. And we played them once and we beat them, so that's pretty big time for us, especially like we weren't towards the top end of the table. We were um just I think we were just below the middle of the pack, so we're bottom half. And yeah, that was a really big time win for us on the road. And GCU has like they have like a big crowd, like it's a nice stadium and stuff. So that was pretty big time for us. And then this year I would probably say UNLV. It was a cool game. I felt like we really put it together as a team. And I think Hesh was actually at that game.
I
Yeah,
was
Hesh
in
across.
Vegas.
Was that at LMU
That was in
Yeah,
Vegas, man.
in Vegas?
yeah,
In Vegas, yeah.
Oh
He was
wow, that would have been sick.
yeah, that was not long ago, like 2 months ago.
Yeah,
yeah.
crazy.
Will came up clutch down the stretch. Everyone did actually. Like everyone
Yeah,
hooped.
it was just a great team win. Like it was a tight game throughout, and then we just like pulled it out in the end. It was wins are good like that. When everyone contributes, and it's like it's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, like I said before, the shooting, it's probably one of the more impressive aspects to your game. You're shooting about 40%. I think you shot 43% from deep last year on about 7 or 8 attempts. I think you're shooting high 38% now.
Yeah.
Um, talk about the shooting and how'd you become the elite shooter you are? Was it a
It's
natural
actually fun.
thing? Was it a natural thing or was it a work on it thing?
It was a
Because I
work
think I
on it.
think there's I think there's a difference between a guy that learned to shoot and a guy that's naturally born to shoot.
Yeah, I definitely wasn't naturally born to shoot because when I first started playing basketball, I'm sure Hesh will tell you in high school, I shot like this, like and
Funky.
Grace,
Funky. No, hey, don't get it twisted. Like it would drop. Like you'd have some games where that would just drop. Like you would
Yeah,
go.
yeah,
But
them
like
them Team Oz days.
I wasn't sold, bro, on the release. Like I was
Yeah,
like, yo, what?
yeah,
yeah, yeah. I
yeah,
remember. It's changed now though. He used
yeah.
to he used
So
to pull it up from like the knees and spin it,
oh,
and now
yeah,
it's like a set elbows.
yeah, it's a lot more. It's very like fundamental shot now, but I actually changed it at. So Coach Bordenay, I went to prep school, and that's kind of sometimes when I look back at it, I think that's a lot of the reason why like I didn't really obviously have been in America the first time, like why I probably didn't perform as well as I think I could have. It's because I literally couldn't shoot. Like, and I was like, being an undersized guard that can't shoot,
Yeah,
playing in America for the first time, I wasn't, necessarily I didn't have the ability to get to the rim like that. And so I was like, what can I do? Without being able to to shoot at that time, you know. So, but he changed my shot, and it's probably like one of the best things like I did for my career, you know.
Exactly. Hesh didn't play any part in the shot fix.
Nah, that shot was fixed by the time I got him. By the time I started working with Will, he was already a bucket. Now I just leech off him, man. Look at the trainer.
Just gets all the credit.
Yeah.
I just take the credit now. But I want to go back to something that we mentioned. It just stuck out in my head. We've spoken about it closely, but I'd be keen to get your thoughts on it. In a more detailed kind of setting. I feel like you have consistent LMU. I think you've had some of your best games against high-end competition. Colorado State, St. Mary's, twice against St. Mary's that you played pretty well. Is that right?
Yeah, I mean, not we just played Gonzaga and I didn't have a great game,
Okay.
but you know,
We'll take that Gonzaga game as an anomaly. But generally speaking, I feel like some of the higher ranked teams and bigger games on like that you may circle on your calendar that you've balled out. And I think you've had some 20 pieces, you've shot the lights out in those games. Just want to address like a preparation thing. Does anything change game to game for you? Like, do you find every game the same, regardless of whether they're a ranked team, not a ranked team, or national televised team, a game versus, local television or whatever it might be? Does preparation change? Does mentality change? Or do you access different things and use different motivations? Or is everything just the same and you wake up and it is what it is?
yeah, I mean, I try to keep it the same, like mindset. But sometimes when you get in the game though, like especially like, St. Mary's, like you look at it and it's like that's kind of like the pathway for all the Australian guys. Like look
Yeah.
at a team like that, and I'm like, man, I gotta go get those guys. And we fell up short that these past two times we played them, but you know, sometimes there's a little bit like, there's a little bit extra, I would say, motivation when you play those teams. But yeah, I don't think it's any like significant mindset change where I'm like, oh, I got a ball out today. It's just kind of like, yeah, I feel like it just happens, you know?
100%. Um, we'll kind of shift the topic. Obviously, it's a new year. We're in the second month now, but what are some of the goals you have for this year?
Yeah, I mean, I want to play March Madness, so we've definitely, you know, made it difficult on ourselves to get there because we don't have a chance to get a bid, I don't think. So we're gonna have to go win the tournament. And I think it's something that we can definitely do. You know, we've shown that when we're at our best, we play elite basketball. You know,
Yeah.
it's just we need to be able to do that consistently and on the biggest stages. And so if we can do that, then that's a massive goal for me. And then heading into the next season, like I've seen what it takes to be an elite guard. Like like there's some areas of my game, shooting and stuff. Like I feel honestly like I haven't shot as well as I could have this year, but that's stuff that I kind of always like I can go to. But I've seen what it takes to be an elite guard, like defensively. Like I've improved. I feel like I've improved crazy this year. Getting stronger, like all this stuff that's gonna make me a high level professional player after college. Just this off season, I think is gonna be huge in that sense. And I don't want to look too far ahead as like, oh, I want to, do this like to get to this level or I want this accolade or something like that. I don't really care about that right now. I think just getting better and getting to a level where I know I'm good enough, like to play at the highest level, is the most important thing for this year.
What do you think is the next thing you want to add to your game, or what are you working on?
Yeah, I mean, obviously defensively, I think I made massive strides this year. But if I want to play the level where I want to go, I need to be able to guard the best players in the world. So that's probably the biggest thing, and that attributes to like getting stronger, getting a lot quicker, and that kind of stuff. And then I feel like keep working on my shot because that's like my go-to, and then really stepping into and learning how to control a team at this high level and being able to make my teammates a lot better. That's something that I find like I watch the best guys in college basketball and just like their feel for the game and ability to make everyone around them better, not only themselves, is just like that's how you're going to get paid. So
Exactly.
those probably big things defensively and making my teammates better.
Yeah.
Let me piggyback on the back of that. I think it's a pretty cool player comparison, and coincidentally enough, like a couple of coaches I've spoken to about you in your transfer portal period and when they were recruiting you, the name Peyton Pritchard just came up a couple of times coincidentally, and then randomly when
Yeah,
you get you work out with him and you spend a bit of time with him. What would you say? Obviously, he's an elite NBA player. I'm not trying to say you're at the level of Peyton Pritchard right now, and I know you've got a long way to go before you
yeah.
can see yourself there. Just off rip, like what would you say is the difference between like yourself right now and Peyton Pritchard right now after having worked out with him and been in the gym with him?
Yeah. I mean, to put context on how good Peyton is, like we had runs like back home with like guys like Jamal Murray who are all stars, and I felt like Peyton was like I don't want to say better than, but on the days where I was there, I was like, this guy is up there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I felt like he was really good, and just the first thing that stood out was the shot making was different. Like I felt like I'd play good defense on possessions, and it just didn't matter. Didn't matter what I did. Like I would gap him, he would just hit it. I would pressure him, and then he would bump me, and then like it'd be like hand right here. Didn't matter. Like I literally tried everything. Like I was trying out new stuff, it's just that ability to like adjust.
Yeah.
Doing all that, and then defensively, he's like he guards. Bigger guys like we had 7 footers like they're like pros, in the gym, and he's guarding them, and we've seen that with like when we had Jamal Murray come in, like he's guarding centers, and he's
Yeah.
a point guard.
Yeah.
Like what I mean? Like
To
it,
give you
it just
guys
shows.
context, just on the Jamal Murray thing, Jamal Murray was in Sydney race,
Yeah. Yeah. I
and
remember this.
there was a scrimmage at Shaw School, and the NBA had organized like NBA Australia had organized, and we ended up organizing a bit of a scrimmage, and Will and Wiley and a few of the Sydney Hoopers came down and played against him.
Who
And
who who picked him up before we continue? Who picked him up first thing?
Wiley guarded him, Will guarded him. Like nobody guarded him, to be fair. Like no one was checking him, bro, because he was just like that shit was breakfast for him. But like,
You know when Jamal Murray steps over half court and he like immediately gets into that post and
yeah, yeah,
waits for the screen to
Facts.
come.
still hits
Bro, he
you. That's
does
what he was
that. Yeah.
doing. Crazy story, man. Couple of things on that. That was his first scrimmage that he had since he did his ACL.
Yeah. Wow.
Felt like he wanted to run. He was doing some NBA stuff and some general traveling stuff out here, and he
This
goes,
is the year before they won the chip.
correct.
Yeah.
Yeah. And everyone was like, Jamal Murray's in town. And he was like, I want to try and run. So then quickly, like, phones start ringing, and I just get a random call, like, Hesh, can you try and help organize a run? And I'm trying to get all the boys together to figure out what we can do. Um, the guys that were organizing it told me that Denver flew out a doctor, like the team doctor, for like 48 hours, like emergency, like just go, just to warm him up, just to watch him, just to make sure that he was looked after
Yeah.
and everything was good. And Jamal Murray was just like, this is like after a year of being away from the game, man. Like first
Yeah.
scrimmage, he was just cooking, man. Like NBA range, mid post, low post, like crazy fadeaways, like just handle on a string. And then on the other end, he was guarding like Duop Reef and Mako, McCall Mako, and it's like he was just pushing him off the block and guarding him. Like Duop did his thing, I remember, and there was some buckets both ways. But like Jamal Murray, the difference was crazy. And it's interesting that
Yeah.
you say that, Will, about Peyton Pritchard, like who you would not consider as good as Jamal Murray, but in that closed setting when it's just like him and one defender, it's like it's just levels to it, right?
Yeah, no, for sure.
So
I
you
mean,
said you shot.
if you're Peyton's height, you gotta be a level above the dudes that are 6'4", right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, and I can tell like Peyton's different. Like a lot of people I feel like don't love the game.
Yeah.
Like he like loves it. I mean, you can tell like even though he like I think he signed like a massive contract or something, and I see him like talking about like oh, this just makes me want to work harder and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I just think that's like sick to see.
Yeah. It's a difference.
Was he
Yeah.
was he cool in the gym? Like you got to speak with him a little bit and pick his brain?
Like I was asking hella questions, bro. Like I was really trying to like pick his brain and like learn stuff from him.
You remember
And
any of those interactions? Like what did you ask him and what did he say?
like it was even stuff he would tell me. Like we were playing 2-on-2 with Damian Jones and another guy, Damian Jones for the Cavs.
Yep.
And and Damian was on my team, and I threw like a few lobs to him. They were like a little bit they got tipped or something like that. And then he would like tell me, he's like, you got to get like square, like get downhill and make sure you're square to the hoop, because it's kind of like you're running away from the basket when you're throwing the lob, and it's like stuff like that. And then like I come back next play and like I'd do it right, and it was like
Yeah.
like it's kind of like physicality, and a lot of time just watching him, like I'll just see what he did, and I would try to replicate it. So yeah, there was just a bunch of things that he would just tell me, like little pointers and stuff,
100%. When are you back in Australia?
Um, I'm not 100% sure. Hopefully after the season, so April, something around then.
Facts.
National championship, after the national championship, you
Yeah,
mean?
after.
After the national championship game, but
Yeah,
yeah, but then I got to finish out the school year, so see
true,
Hey.
April,
true.
May, May, yeah, maybe May. I'm not sure.
This one's for our good friend Breffo. There's a clip out there of you catching him in the backcourt. Is that the best clip you've gotten? Is there anything you want to say to Breffo?
Definitely. I mean, definitely not the best clip against him because like I do that on the regular to him. You should
Yeah,
see some. He tries to jump in on some of the sessions with Hesh,
yeah.
and just be glad that the cameras aren't there for those because let's say what Peyton did to me, it's about 10 times what I do to Breffo. So he's a walking cone. Um,
Wow.
but he's I'm just glad he's done doing social media. Social media. So
He's not gonna
so
like that.
I hope that works out for him. I mean, I made him a star on TikTok, like from when I was younger, So I'm
And now
glad that I'm just
he's just
providing for my
carrying that.
children.
Yeah, he's carried that momentum now, and thanks to you, he's social media guy now.
Oh yeah, like he's just got a great following now, just off me.
Yeah.
That's crazy. We'll wrap it up there. Thank you, Will, for joining us. We appreciate it. Good luck with the rest of the LMU season. And we'll be tuning into some more games and hopefully holding up the Nutty Championship at the end.
Hell yeah, I appreciate your boys.